Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to my exploration of the Conjuration skill tree under the Ordinator perk overhaul. And we got our armor back from Yorland now, and we are at armor rating of 358, which is probably less than what we looked at in the last episode, mainly because of Ebony Flesh. So we'll go ahead and cast that. Can I not dual cast? Oh, I don't have the dual casting perk for alteration spells. That's alright. So now that we have Ebony Flesh, that brings us up to 458. That doesn't sound right, does it? No, that's right. I think we were only at like 360 something before, right? So we were at 450 without armor and with Ebony Flesh, getting the boosts and everything from all of that. But now we're at 458, which is not bad. I don't know. Hold on just a second here. It's kind of odd to me that our armor rating didn't go up at all, unless I'm just experiencing a complete lack of perception. Okay, it went up by 100. Okay, so 358, which is where we were at with ebony armor before we tempered everything, and I took a couple perks in the heavy armor tree. So if I cast Ebony Flesh now, should add 100 armor, and it does 458. So that's pretty good. We still have a lot of leveling up to do in heavy armor. We're only at 43 skill right now. I took the 2 mastery level perks, which is giving us a 40% boost to our armor rating, and another 25% boost if we're wearing all heavy armor, which we are. I do have 5 more perks to take, but I didn't want to take those off camera without sort of filming deliberation on which perks to take. So this right branch up here, first of all, cushioned. I've never found a good use for this. Fall damage has never really been an issue for me. Now, if you're playing like a stealthy assassin ninja type character, it can open up some paths to you that otherwise wouldn't be available, as far as dropping down from like rafters and stuff like that. But if you're playing a sneaky type character, you're probably not using heavy armor. So I'm not really sure what this perk is going for. I was always kind of confused by it in the vanilla tree too, because this is a vanilla perk. So we'll probably ignore that. Rallying Standard. So this gives you a power that once a day you can place this banner on the ground, and that banner gives you 150 points of armor and 25% melee damage that lasts 60 seconds. Now this also applies to allies within 25 feet, but they have to be wearing all heavy armor. Since most of our allies are Atronachs, they do not wear armor, and the Dremora Lords don't have helmets, so this is more for followers that you can equip how you want to and give them all heavy armor than it is for the minions that we are running with. But there are some nicer perks farther up the tree here. So this just makes it so that you get a rallying standard every time you draw your weapon, which doesn't really improve the rallying standard at all or make it more important for us, but it makes it so that you can get a lot more rallying standards without having to use up the daily power on it. Now this is helpful. Rallying Standard also improves destruction spells and effects by 15%. That will apply to both us and our minions. So let's see, 1, 2, 3 perks to get that one. I don't know if it's worth it, but it would add 15% damage to our cloak spell and 15% damage to our minion spells, which is nice. I don't know if they have to be wearing heavy armor for that. I'm assuming not, but who knows. Okay, let's take on... Well, okay, let's look at this other sub-branch here, too. So Never Kneel. We can take that and take 30% less attack damage from power attacks, which is great. Just in case we do get hit by a power attack, we don't want to take all that damage, so, you know, why not? 30% less damage from power attacks is nice. This is another nice one. Fire, frost, and shock damage, so pretty much all elemental damage, is reduced by 0.02% per point of armor if wearing all heavy armor. So right now we're at around 450 armor. We would get, let's see, move the decimal sign twice and divide by 2. Well, not that much, it turns out. We'd be getting like an extra, you know, 2.5%, 2.25% of magicka resistance. Yeah, not that great, right? Especially when we already have 95% elemental resistance. This is another one I'm not really too into. If you're wearing all heavy armor, you take 75% less damage from attacks when you're below 15% health or 20% health if you have a rallying standard that is near you. I really don't plan on ever getting that low in health, so we could probably skip that. Never Kneel is a nice one. I'm still debating whether or not to take Doombringer. Probably will. Defiance. For sure we're going to take this one. So whenever you get hit by a physical attack, you gain 15 points of armor for 10 seconds. Now, I don't think that this will allow you to go above and beyond the armor cap, so this may not be as important once we do get there, but for now, while we're leveling up, it'll help a lot, and I think we're going to need a lot of help on this. We'll see. I haven't actually fought with this heavy armor yet. That's going to be fun. Bedrock. If wearing all heavy armor, you have a 20% chance to brace for impact when attacked by an enemy, becoming immune to stagger for 4 seconds. This is also great. Well worth the perk. Defiance also increases melee weapon damage by 3% for 10 seconds, and the effect stacks. So this is good. This will help mitigate some of the offense that we were losing by going with a two-handed weapon as opposed to a one-handed weapon, and all of the accompanying spell sword type perks in the alteration skill tree. So this will be good to take, I think. Sprinting in combat increases the armor of all allied people excuse me, within 20 feet by 25% of your own armor, and the armor of all allied skeletons created by Bone Collector within 20 feet by 15% of your own armor. Lasts 30 seconds. So this is great too. I'm not sure how much I'm actually going to be sprinting. I usually only sprint when I'm initiating offense. But why not? Especially if, well, when I do sprint in combat to do like a sprinting power attack to open my offense or whatever, it's usually because minions have either gained aggro of the enemies or they are about to, because I'm about to initiate battle with that sprinting and power attack and then dodge roll the hell out of there so that the minions can take on aggro. So this is going to be great. It's going to boost their armor by 25% of my own. Well, let's see. It says allied people. So I don't know if this will actually affect conjured minions, but if it does, it's totally worth taking it. 25% of our own damage. Let me just quickly look up what the Skyrim armor cap is. The armor cap is capped at 567, which is displayed, but you always get another 100 hidden rating if you're wearing armor on all slots. So it is 667 total, but really it's a displayed 567 armor rating. So 25% of 667, which is the actual armor rating. I don't want to do that in my head, so I'm going to calculate it. Minions, if it does work on minions, that perk will give us an extra 166.75 armor rating at the armor skill cap, or at the armor cap. So that's a big boost. That perk is definitely worth taking if it affects summoned minions. Okay, so let's see. Was that about it for all of that? Okay, so that's about it for that branch. Oh, Face of Death. This is the requisite armor perk that allows you to take your helmet off and still get all the perks that require wearing all heavy armor in order to activate. We don't need that. We'll be wearing the helmet because it's going to give us an extra enchantment slot. Okay, so let's take on this branch over here. Battle Weary. Tired enemies have a harder time defeating your armor. You take up to 20% less attack damage from enemies with half or less stamina if wearing all heavy armor. The lower their stamina, the less damage you take. I mean, sure, why not? If we get into a situation where we're in a drawn-out battle, which I have not seen a single drawn-out battle since I've switched to Legendary, this could help in those situations when stamina pools are running low. I don't see it happening all that often right now or going forward, but we may need to take this perk anyway to get what's behind it. Born to Fight. Heavy armor weighs half as much and slows you down half as much when worn. This is kind of a no-brainer. We're going to have to take that. Lead the Tempest. We've already been over. Alright, so the last sort of sub-branch here. Break Upon Me. You are immune to basic melee weapon perks, such as Clash of Champions, Heroes, Denting, Crushing Blows, blah blah blah. If wearing all heavy armor, you take 10% less attack damage from enemies affected by one or more of these perks. So that's good. So first of all, these weapon perks that Clash of Champions actually lowers attack damage by whoever gets hit by it. Those kind of things won't affect me if an enemy hits me. However, it sounds like if we affect another enemy with something like Clash of Champions, or for the case of our Battle Axe, something like Bleed Like a Dog, while they're bleeding for, what, that 3 seconds, we will be taking 10% less damage from them, which is good. I like that one. Reap the Whirlwind. When struck by a power attack or power bash, your attacks deal 125% more damage to the attacker for 5 seconds if wearing all heavy armor. So if we do manage to get hit by a power attack, we're going to get 30% less damage from it, from this perk here. And then we will also get 125% damage boost to whoever hit us with it for 5 seconds, which is awesome. Rise Above. If wearing all heavy armor, you intimidate enemies within 15 feet. They lose 5% attack damage, and you gain 5% attack damage for each enemy affected. So there's going to... I think this is a random... Oh, no, this isn't random. Primal Fear is the random effect. Okay, so this is good. All enemies within 15 feet. They're going to lose attack damage of 5% per enemy within 15 feet. We're going to gain 5% attack damage for every enemy within 15 feet. This is pretty cool, too. Now, even if there are only 1 or 2 folks around us, that damage boost is still welcome. Especially if we're going to be taking on more of a tanky role with all this heavy armor, and sort of let our minions take on a support role. We should find ourselves surrounded with enemies a lot more frequently, and we will get more boosts from it. Primal Fear. This one I really like. It's one of those perks that kind of transforms your gameplay experience just a little bit, and it's great for role-playing. If wearing all heavy armor, walking but not running towards living enemies within 30 feet in front of you may break their confidence, causing them to flee for 8 seconds. I think this is awesome. It fits really well with this character type. If you see this evil-looking, heavily armor-clad entity slowly walking toward you, and he's surrounded by these demonic entities doing his bidding for him, you're probably going to be pretty scared. You're going to want to go somewhere and relieve yourself, I think. So that fits. I like that. We'll definitely be taking that and playing with it a little bit. And then 2 more here. When struck by an attack, subsequent attacks are deflected if wearing all heavy armor. You take 75% reduced damage from attacks for 1 second. Okay, so this just looks like an extension of that other perk down there. When struck by an attack, subsequent attacks are deflected if wearing heavy armor. You take 75% reduced damage from attacks for 1 second. So you get a huge damage reduction, incoming damage reduction, for 1 second, whereas opposed to this one is you get 15 points of armor for 10 seconds, which stacks. Still, if you're surrounded by enemies, you get hit. For that 1 second, all enemies that are trying to wail on you are only going to be doing a quarter of their normal damage, which is nice. Especially if you're taking on a tank role and you're going to be surrounded by enemies all the time. That's probably where that is more useful. And then finally, the sort of ultimate perk of this tree here. So when struck by a power attack or power bash, the attacker's strike rebounds forcefully as if striking solid rock, staggering them and potentially knocking them to the ground if wearing all heavy armor. Now, I've actually seen this in sort of Let's Plays on YouTube and stuff before. It's pretty entertaining. I would imagine it's quite a kick, quite a thrill when it procs during actual gameplay. I have taken this perk myself a long time ago, and it is a blast to play with. So if an enemy manages to hit you with a power attack, a lot of times they'll be flung away. Sort of a equal and opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction type thing. They kind of get bopped away with the same force that they're hitting you with. It's kind of fun. I do like the heavy armor skill tree. There are some really fun perks in it. So this should be fun, I think. But for right now, let's go ahead and take Defiance. That's kind of a no-brainer there. Cushioned, I'm not too into. We need at least 50 skill for the next one here. Battle Weary we can take, although it's not really going to do much for us. Break Upon Me would be nice, but we need 60 and we need 50 for that one. Alright, so I'll probably bank the rest of the perks now and just continue to level up. Alright, so we do have another task on our agenda right now, and that is to enchant our helmet, our gauntlets, and our boots. And this is going to take some thought here. So, since we're using this Daedric artifact, we cannot enchant our body slot for our armor, so we can't just do a one-to-one transfer of what we had before in terms of enchantments to what we have now. So the Oblivion Shroud, which was the piece that we had enchanted before, I liked it a lot. So friendly conjured creatures within 50 feet get 25% attack damage and 100 health. And conjuration spells and enchantments cost us 40% less. For somebody who's very conjuration-centric, this is kind of a big blow to us, I think. So we're going to miss that. That being said, if we're taking on more of a tanky role, we may not need those empowered minions. We'll see how it all pans out. I don't know. But either way, we can't take those same enchantments now because we don't have a body slot that we can use because it's being taken up by something that's already pre-enchanted and cannot be re-enchanted. Let's start with the helmet here. What are we doing right now with our circlet? Or what were we doing with our circlet? The circlet of the Protector here. Take 25% less damage from attacks when your health falls below 25%. Restoration spells and enchantments cost 40% less. So 40% reduction in restoration spell cost, and if we do manage to get low on health, we take 25% less damage, which was somewhat close to that higher level perk in the heavy armor skill tree. We might be able to come back and re-enchant these. I would like to kind of take the same one, but let's see what we have here. And our Grand Soul Gems. Do we have any Black Soul Gems? Oh yeah. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save here. I'm not going to put any gem dust on the enchanter for right now because I want to see what we have available. Cheat Death is the one that we have. We can do Fortify Conjuration here, so at least we can get our spell cost reduction on Conjuration skills, which would be, or Conjuration spells, which would be nice if we have to recast some minions, especially the Atronach Thralls. Those are expensive. Fortify Restoration is what we have. I haven't been using a whole lot of Restoration, but we might now that we're switching to armor, which might leave us a little more vulnerable than we were before. So it might be worth it to take that now. Okay, so what I'm thinking right now is I'm just going to go ahead and take the same perks on this that I had on the circlet. And then once we sort of take those perks in the heavy armor tree a little later, as far as the death proof type stuff or the cheat death type stuff, we can come back and re-enchant this. Once we have a higher skill in enchanting, we probably won't need the restoration stuff anymore either, so there's that. Okay, so we're going to enchant the Ebony Helmet with Cheat Death and Fortify Restoration. Going to put our Grand Soul on there. Now this seems a little bit weaker than it did on the last one, and I wonder why. I don't think we used any potions of Fortify Enchanting or anything, did we? I thought we were getting 40% cost reduction on restoration spells, and I thought it was 25% less damage once your health falls below 25% on this one too. So I don't know what's making this weaker at the moment. We didn't lose any enchantment perks or anything. Oh well, I'm not really worried about it. Let's go ahead and rename this to Helm of the Protector, just to keep the naming scheme consistent. There we go. Now, what's next? Oh, I do want to check, let's see, Helm of the Protector. 18% less damage from attacks and 30% less magicka for restoration spells. Yeah, see, it was 25% and 40% on this one. I don't know why it's so much stronger. Oh, you know what? It might be because of the Regalia perk over here in Enchanting. I bet you that's what it is. New enchantments placed upon robes, circlets, hoods, and necklaces are 30% stronger. That's where that boost is coming from. It doesn't count for helmets. It was just the circlets. So that's what that is. Alright, so that's another con of taking on armor, is that if you enchant a helm instead of a circlet, or regular body armor instead of robes, you're going to get reduced strength on whatever enchantments you have on those. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. Oops. Take a look at what we have for the gauntlets now. What we had were gloves of the Axeman, I believe. Two-handed attacks do 50% more damage and increase your magicka, and we increase our magicka pool by 78 points. So we might be able to do better. I don't know that we need the magicka. Of course, we might now that we've lost some cast efficiency on our Conjuration spells and our Restoration spells, so that extra magicka might help. We didn't need it in the first place, though, just because our magicka pool is so huge just to get that 5th minion. So, but the two-handed attack damage we definitely want. So let's not use any gem dust on this. We'll just take a look at what we can put on these gauntlets now. Fortified block might be a nice one. This enchantment does say block more damage with your shield. I don't know if that actually applies to weapon blocking or not, though. Fortify heavy armor is a good one. That's definitely a possibility there. Fortify two-handed. Siphon stamina. Absorb stamina based on level from enemies within 5 feet. That might be nice. Now that we're swinging a heavier weapon, we are more restricted on how many power attacks we can throw out. So being able to absorb stamina basically regenerates stamina more quickly if you have enemies close by. That could be nice. So fortify two-handed. I think we got to go with heavy armor now, though. We might get to a point where we can reach the armor cap without enchantments. And when we come to that point, I might come back here and re-enchant our gear to take the stamina perk. But for now, I like fortify two-handed and fortify heavy armor. Maybe fortify block. Nah, heavy armor. Heavy armor for sure. Okay, so now we need the gem that is required for hands and feet, which is the sapphire. There we go. Gauntlets. We are doing fortify heavy armor and fortify two-handed. And let's use a black soul gem. So heavy armor is 30 points more effective. Ugh, easy for me to say. And two-handed attacks do 50% more damage. Thank you very much. I will take it. Oh, I gotta rename these things, though. Gauntlets of the Tin Man. You know, because the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, he was clad in metal and he had an axe. I like that. I'm happy with that. Okay. What is next? The ebony boots. What can we do here? Stamina regen is nice. Fortify two-handed. We definitely want to do that. Well, you know what? I want to check and see. I think we had a speed boost on our current one here. I think it was Boots of the Barbarian, I believe is what we named it. There we are. Two-handed attacks do 50% more damage, and stamina regenerates 38% faster. So we had stamina regen on it, not speed. Let's see what we got here. So we're definitely putting the two-handed damage on there. We need to keep our damage output up regardless of where we end up going with this heavy armor, with these heavy armor perks. Resist shock, fire, and frost are not interested in. Being struck by fire, no. Stamina regen is still a strong contender here. Fortify carry away. Nah, we gotta stick with stamina regen and two-handed. Alright. And I think this is the last one, right? The last piece that we have to enchant. Ebony boots. Stamina regen and fortify two-handed. Boom. Okay, we are equipped. I just want to see how he looks here. He looks kind of cool with the ebony flesh and the ebony armor on. Pretty wicked, right? I like it. So the only thing we're missing out on here is the fact that our minions are going to be weaker. I think there was, like, I don't remember the numbers on it, but I don't know. It's a pretty significant nerf to our minions. And Conjuration casting. Just because I didn't want to sacrifice restoration spells for being able to cast more Conjuration spells more quickly. Because I think we might need to be doing some healing on this. Okay, well, that's alright. I'm liking the way he looks here. In fact, I think it might be a Kodak moment, huh? There we go. I'll put that up on the Discord. Looks pretty cool. Alright, so now we just have to use this. Level it up. Which means I have to find a new dungeon to clear. Which might be a tall task at this point. Alright, so I'm going to get the band back together. I'm going to scan the map for a place to go fight some stuff. And I will see you back in a few minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and go do Cracked Tusk Keep. I believe there is another piece of Mehrunes Razor there. It's an orcish stronghold, but it's not a friendly one. It's always a hostile place, regardless of your affinity with the orcs. So we'll go ahead and go do that. It's not a huge dungeon crawl, but it'll keep us entertained for a bit, and it will allow us to see just what we're dealing with here with all this new gear. Also, worth pointing out that I was able to get all these minions out, but I had to wait for my magicka to regenerate a little bit. So I was able to get 2 Dremora Lords, a Frost Thrall, and a Fire Thrall, but then I had to wait for my magicka to regenerate. That pretty much wiped out my entire magical pool. I had to wait for it to regenerate a little bit more in order to get Stormy out here, and then I had to wait for it to regenerate a little bit more to get the Battle Axe. No, that's not true. Battle Axes are free because of our Alteration perk that allows us to cast Novice and Apprentice level spells for free. So I didn't have to wait for that, even though I didn't have to. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to Cracked Tusk Keep then, shall we? See how this works. Oh, and I forgot to look at my armor rating after taking on the Fortify Heavy Armor enchantment. Let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. 488. We were at 458 before, so we got an extra 30 points, which I think is exactly what it said. That was 30 points of armor, not 30 points of heavy armor skill, apparently. So that's good to know. And it looks like our Shock Cloak is not. Do cloak spells not work on armor? It should, I think, right? It doesn't say that it doesn't. Yeah, my Shock Cloak isn't coming out, which is interesting. That just might be one of those active effects that's getting eaten because we have so many active effects now through Ordinator. Anyway, we leveled up. How about that? Smithing, I think we already have that one. Okay, well, let's get in there and start killing more orcs. So far, not too bad. Our minions are still taking care of business for us, which is what minions do. And I think there is an orc chieftain in here somewhere. There he is. Okay, so we're not taking much damage at all here, are we? He got us with a bash, and he stabbed us with this wicked-looking thing here. And it really didn't affect us much at all. And we still are on legendary difficulty, I believe. Well, I'm going to be pissed if we're not. Yeah, we're still there. What do we have here? Fearless sneaking we're going to need, and that sneak enchantment is actually going to be very useful for trying to level up Boethia's favor here. I don't think there are any more enemies down here. This just kind of leads to where they're keeping probably like the hilt of Mehrunes' razor or the shards of the blade or something. Oh, I'm not even wearing my damn travel lantern either. Oh, there's my shock cloak now. Where did that come from? Oh, Skyrim. You know I love you. How do we open this damn cage? Ah, that's right. I don't think there are any more enemies down in here, but... oh, minions. Can't live without them. Can't go through a doorway with them. Okay, now there are a ton of little traps and stuff in here. I don't really care about all the loot in there. Sort of beyond loot at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and trigger the traps to see just how tough and resilient we are here. Well, that didn't work out how I expected. Okay, so we are still pretty weak to poison, which figures. It's not one of the elemental types that we're resistant to. Let's see how we do against this gate trap here. Alright, so that's not too bad. We weren't even at full health. And it didn't kill us outright, so we're doing alright, I think. Okay, so what next? What next? Alright, give me a second. I gotta find another thing to clear. And we will continue this. Okay, I like Forsworn, but I like killing them even more, so let's try Serpent's Bluff Redoubt here. I don't think we've been there yet in this series. So this should give us at least some enemies to kill to try to explore what this current loadout can and can't do. Ooh, and it looks like we have a Sky Shard over there too.
The challenger is near!
Still no Shock Cloak. I don't know what's eating that up. Oh, you know what? I bet it is. I bet it's the Flame Shield on the Ebony Mail that's doing it. Ooh, okay. Good thing we had that restoration in our back pocket, huh? Oh, and we dismissed the Dremora Lord. That's alright. Alright, no perk for that, but we're getting closer to the next one anyway. Briarheart, eh? Let's see what they have in the boss chest. Yeah, just some spell research stuff. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's what it is. I bet the Flame Shield effect that Zim's Immersive Artifacts placed on the Ebony armor is using sort of the same effect slot as a cloak spell would. So that's why our lightning cloak isn't always coming out, because our flame shield is up more often. So I think maybe next episode we'll address taking the cloak spells out of Okado's recital and putting something else in there. Of course, now we have a lightning cloak. How about that? We also aren't taking any damage. Now we are. Okay, she's dead. Alright, so we also leveled up our heavy armor to 100. I actually multiplied the heavy armor what am I calling it? Heavy armor progression rate by 100. So we got to level 100 very, very quickly compared to pretty much everything else that we've done. And that's why. In fact, I think for future series like this, these perk exploration series, I will start with that progression rate, just so the whole thing goes a little bit more quickly than it did this time. Oh, Bretons do not hoist very well, do they? Unless they're doing suplexes. There we go, that's better. Although, to be fair, it's probably hard to carry a whole person while you're carrying a giant battle axe at the same time. Come on, get all the way on top of it for me there. There we go. Ugh. It's probably fine, I'm just being a real perfectionist. Okay. What else is in here? Oh, by the way, that's how you open up this grate here. You have to place a dead body on that trigger plate. Already had that one. Black Mammoth recurve bow. Pretty cool. Okay, let's see here. And this is just the alternate exit, I suppose. Okay, so far so good. I don't think we're at the armor cap yet. Actually, we might be now that we've leveled up so much. Let's go ahead and take a look, shall we? Splitting the difference between health and stamina there. Armor rating at 557, so we're only 17 armor rating points away from the armor cap at this point, at least with our Ebony Flesh active. So that's pretty cool, I think. One more enchantment would get us to the cap, I believe. But I think we're gonna take a look at that next episode. All right, so this was probably a little bit more of a longer one. little bit faster paced, I think. I did a lot of talking, though, at the beginning about the different heavy armor perks and what we're going to be taking. Next episode, we'll go through and kind of flesh that out a little bit more. I don't think we have all the perks that we need still to flesh this out, so I'm going to have to figure out something there. We also have some sneaky stuff to take on in order to appease Boethia. I don't know how far I'm going to follow that up. I think this series is getting just a little bit long in the tooth. We still do have to flesh out... Oh, I just noticed the red accents on that. That's kind of cool looking armor, isn't it? We still do have to flesh out all the different heavy armor perks that we want to take. There are quite a few here. Not a ton, but quite a few. And we also have to take on the bound bow and do the whole archery thing. Now, there's going to be little here that's new that we haven't already explored in the RLOS playthrough. You're probably going to see a lot of the same stuff going on there too, just instead of a big angry bear following us around, it's going to be big angry Atronachs. I also did want to explore the Apocalypse minions a little bit as well. So things like the Weeping Daedra and the Weeping Dremora, the Dremora Zivali, and things like that. I think there's a Dremora Pit Fighter as well. So yeah, that's what's on the horizon. I don't see this series lasting any more than another 3 to 5 episodes, hopefully. But yeah, next time we'll try to fill out the heavy armor perk tree a little bit more and maybe move on to archery. So that's it for this episode. Thanks again for watching. Everybody do your best to take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Bye.